else for some reason. This time, Tara.
Oh,
Tara, look.
hello.
Okay. Hey, everyone. It's Ellie.
And Tara here at the 180 podcast today. Oh,
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. So we're like in the middle of like the month already, right? Like,
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like we're making our way through January, right? Which is absolutely crazy. And guys, guess what happened this weekend?
What happened this weekend?
Tara, you were there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. So it was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
So I am now officially 18 years old.
That's crazy.
So I think that's wild and insane.
Yeah.
That means I can vote, which is really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
Tara, how is it? So
How's
fun?
voting?
How's
yeah,
voting?
so they send you a paper and then you get to go down it and like fill out these little bubbles and then if the person that you voted for gets elected, then you're like, wow, I'm an American.
You're like, oh my goodness, it worked.
Exactly.
There you
Oh my
go.
goodness.
No, this is exciting. Actually talking about voter stuff, I actually want to kind of get into that right now.
Yes.
Since I do have that as one of our topics.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to start off with our social medias first. If you haven't followed us over there.
Better do that right now.
We have Instagram at 180.shift.
That's
Twitter,
right.
also known as X because I don't know why.
Elon's weird.
Yeah. And Twitter is going to be 180shift.
There you
Facebook is
go.
Tara, letter N, Ellie.
Yep.
And our website is 180shift.org. So you can check us out there.
Check us out.
You're able to see us, find out who we're about or what we're about. I don't know.
C.S. Lewis.
Kinda stuff us.
That's right. Anyway.
She's just saying some random stuff. But
it's called ad-libbing.
now what's happening is that there was some
Voter
stuff that we're going to talk about. So as you
Ruh-roh.
know, you can. Well, I don't know if many people know, but you can pre-register to vote at starting at the age of 16 and 17,
Pretty young.
which is really important. And I recommend that to every single person who is 16.
Oh.
That's what I did when I got my California state ID. I was like, okay, you know what? Let's do it because it kind of like taxes it on, like puts it on there when you're doing your like forms and registration for it online. You can also have the option to pre-register vote. If not, you can also do that like through the DMV.
Might as well just pre-register because then you don't have to do it later. And if you might forget about it because you're like
Exactly.
me, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Right. That's probably one of the best things that you can get from
Life hack.
doing that. Yeah, it's a life hack basically. You know.
But what's going on with voter ID lately?
You know what? I'll tell you that. You actually have to. So for those of you who haven't registered to vote yet, and you're 18 and you can vote for this election, you have to register to vote by actually February 20th. So there's actually a cutoff that you have to meet to be able to vote in the primary election that we have coming up in, is it March 5th? Yeah, March 5th. And then we have ballots already going out February 5th.
That
So a
should
whole
be
entire
interesting.
month beforehand.
Yeah.
We have people already voting and being able to send their ballots in the mail. Now, I believe since COVID, California, you've been it's automatic that everybody gets a mail-in ballot, even without requesting it. It actually used to be where people would actually have to request it and have a reason, but now you kind of just get it automatically. So
That's pretty interesting.
that's pretty interesting. I say so too.
Pretty
And I believe
interesting.
2 weeks beforehand you can start voting in person. It's like early
Yeah.
voting, but only some counties and places allow you to. So you probably should check that out if you're into that, I guess. But I'll probably be voting the day of election day.
Oh, that's an experience.
Primaries.
Yeah, I've not done that yet. I've only voted through COVID. But let me tell you something about COVID, though. Check this out. So just read this article. It was called "We're in a Major COVID-19 Surge. It's our new normal." Ha ha ha. No. So it was pretty interesting because I read this really big article that had that as the headline. And basically the point was people need to take the precautions that you should take I don't think we needed COVID to necessarily like tell us about these precautions, but basically, if you're sick, don't go to work. If you're sick, don't go to school. Wash your hands. Don't cough on people. Cough in your arm or like in your shirt or something like that. Right. And it's just like normal stuff that I thought was totally normal. Like, yeah, drink lots of water. Like, yeah, this is normal. Why does this huge article basically say this is the new normal for 2024 because of the pandemic? What? No, this is just common sense. It doesn't excuse any of the stuff that you cannot pull this as like something positive from the pandemic. I don't know. Have you seen people be more like, I don't know.
Well, I've seen people be more cautious with like getting sick. There's a lot of people who are now like extra cautious with everything now. Yeah. Which I get it. If you're in big crowds, like some people now have the phobia of big crowds and they always have to wear a mask when there's a lot of people. Which, I mean, if you have a compromised immune system, that's one thing. But it's very interesting, I think. Yeah. I mean, Timothy, do you take proper precautions when going out?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Well. I don't want to know what that means.
Yeah, just a little response like, maybe.
Wash your hands, kids.
Yeah, washing hands. I mean, there's certain things that you should always be doing. I mean, like even back when I would before COVID, when I got sick, you know, just so I wouldn't get other sick and I needed to go to the store, I would always be wearing a mask just so I wouldn't pass it on to people. Yeah. You know, don't touch too many things, just touch the things that you need to get. I mean, those are just simple things. And then washing your hands when you get home. I think those are all things that should be normal practices, not just because COVID was around.
No, I mean, I was high at risk for COVID because I have asthma. So I'm constantly having asthma attacks right now, honestly. Anyway, but that brings me to the next point of this, which is, I think is why this article was written, is the risks that don't go away. And then it goes on and on and on about how 20% of the population did not get vaccinated, the last vaccine, the latest vaccine. So 20% of U.S. adults did not get only 20% of U.S. adults got the latest vaccine. So 80% of people did not get the vaccine. I'm sorry, my friend.
Okay.
You can turn this down there. But anyway, so I think that's so they're basically using this article as like a way to be like, go get the latest vaccine, get vaccinated. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
That's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't want to get like, you know, in trouble with all the people out there.
What people?
The hands up with
are they subscribers?
Media. I don't know, social media. You know what?
Oh, I mean, like,
but
TikTok.
I mean, like, that's okay. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's very interesting because some people I'm noticing are like kind of fed up and just like, well, you know what? We already took the first one. Why do we have to take the next one? Right?
Aren't there like 5 now?
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's just like people are pretty fed up with that. And I get that. Like, why do you want to? I mean, it's kind of a nuisance at that point. But not only that, it's kind of like something that's not necessarily.
That's kind of how I feel.
I mean,
about this article. It's like, it's kind of annoying. And everybody thinks it's annoying. And it's just like still using the force of COVID to try and get their numbers
people are
checked.
Kind of over it by now.
But here's a fact. And
I mean, we're in 2024. We're kind of over it
so
by
that's
now.
Like still you're writing articles about like, come on, and the new still talking about the new normal. See, the thing is, I'm an asthmatic. I have horrible asthma, very at risk for this kind of stuff. But I never got vaccinated, and I did not die of COVID. Now I don't know. I don't know what's in the future. Whatever God has for me. But I'm just saying though that I was okay. So, and I'm not vaccinated. So my life kind of contradicts this article. Because I have very bad lungs. And I used to get pneumonia all the time as a kid. So
now let's see. So kind of sort of jumping off of like, I guess, election, going a little back. We did have the New Hampshire primary results.
Oh, is it?
Interesting. So we have 2 like people still running for the Republican primary. And that's Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. Now,
who is Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley, so she was an ambassador to I believe it was the UN. And she is a pretty big, like, I guess
Not big
I
enough.
mean, she is big. So basically, she worked underneath Donald Trump's administration, and she's now
Betraying
running.
him.
I mean, I don't know. Depending on how you look at it, I guess you could say that.
It's betrayal.
Right. Well, I mean, she's the only one still running against him right now, because all the other candidates have now backed off, including Ron DeSantis is out, and all the other ones are kind of like going behind Trump now. So it's been pretty interesting.
That's interesting. I mean, very interesting.
Yeah, and she's still holding. She has a lot of hope right now, which is pretty interesting. We're waiting to see, because next week we have, I believe, South Carolina, or her home state, and we're kind of looking to see her results on there.
So why is she, if everyone's backing Trump, why is she pursuing? Is it just to like make herself like more known?
I mean, she was already pretty well known after she was kind of put in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But like you could speculate maybe she's trying to do it to get another position that she wants, you know?
Yeah.
Or she really thinks that she can do it.
Yeah, because sometimes politics works like that. Like, you know, someone is actually doing something, but they have ulterior motives because
they want to get this position, but so they're going to try to run to get a lot of, like, people recognition.
Yes.
This could be a lot of reasons. But there was last time I checked, when there was, like, 39% reporting, which they've already called it to Trump, but there was around almost a 10% gap between them. That was only back when I was first checking them. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I was watching her speech, and she was kind of like really hopeful for the future. And
but she was
she's gonna get it.
Be running as being a woman president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like what Hillary Clinton did.
That wasn't pretty.
Well, you know, it's pretty interesting. Actually, I wanted to raise a point here, was that for how much of the population here in America that is Hispanic, that is Latino, we haven't had a person come up that is a Hispanic president, a Latino president, to represent the new culture that we have here. And it's very interesting that we have nobody to represent that. And I've been wondering, is somebody going to step up and fill that gap right there?
Yeah.
Because, like, what are we doing? Like, it's very...
Can't even think of anyone.
I don't want to pull, like, race stuff in here, but, like, it's kind of very interesting that we haven't had somebody come up with from that, you know?
Yeah. You know, the same thing kind of happens in the Hollywood industry. Like, did you know that like most people who go to movies, watch movies, or like pay for them are Hispanic, but like it's like 5% of the Hollywood industry is actually Hispanic. Like producers, directors, you know, like so it's funny. It's like Hispanics get thrown under the bus sometimes.
Yeah, but I kind of want to see. You know what? There's a lot of like, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things you could say from both sides about Hispanics, but it's like, you know, where's that representation that they were talking about for Hispanics?
Well,
from some points.
Yeah. I think anything that is pro-family is a good representation of Hispanic culture.
I would say so.
And, you know, it's interesting. I'm dealing with, like, my own personal thing right now, which is I moved out of my old apartment, and we've been looking for a new one, and we thought that we would get one by now, but we haven't. And part of that is because they are saying that basically you can't fit 4 people in one bedroom, 4 people being me, my husband, and my 2 toddlers, who basically, like, they always crawl up into bed with me anyway. So, anyway, I don't know. We've been denied 4 or 5 times from different apartments in Los Angeles based on that.
So we're talking about, like, housing.
It's not even the income. It's not the credit. It's too many people to house. It's like that's a housing thing that's happening. Now, I looked it up. It's actually called something. It is called a housing expense ratio. Is that it? Or is that for just buying property? That could be just for buying property. But look, I think from a personal standpoint, I also don't like playing the race card. But it is like, does actually seem like, I mean, even with like stuff with BLM, there were times when I was like, oh yeah, like there are advantages to white people over black people, but is that the right way to handle it through reparation systems? I don't think so, because there's also a lot of poverty stricken white people, you know. But with Hispanics, it's like it does feel discriminatory saying you can't have this many people living in house, because it's just like, I don't know, like my cousins where I come from, like in Colorado, and a lot of them came from New Mexico. It's normal to like have
Right. Now, very interestingly, is for a lot of time, if you look around the world, and it's mostly in certain types of cultures, you don't see it very often, I guess, in the white community, but a lot of other communities have a lot of generations in one home.
yeah.
And that's how I was raised. That's how I see all my relatives raised, is like there's a lot of generations
It's normal.
underneath one household and roof.
Yeah.
It's different for a lot of white, I guess, communities or whatever you like to call them. You don't see them often living with a lot of generations under one roof. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I mean, I don't know why that is. Maybe it is some sort of, I don't know, financial advantage or something like that. But I mean, what's the solution to it? Because I know that we've said this has been a discussion in America in a long time. Is certain races do have certain advantages over other races. So what do we do to solve it? I mean, do you think reparations is the answer?
No, I do not think so. And there's actually a guy who, oh my goodness, I'm trying to find it real quick. There was a representative who actually just proposed $14 trillion in reparation plan today, I believe. Yeah. For the enslavement of Africans and the lasting harm on their lives and millions of black people in the United States, which is very interesting. So $4 trillion.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that. I mean, I don't believe that reparations is going to solve anything at all. Because why are we going to be dependent even more on the government to give us that money? Also, who decides which people get it? And which people, who are we going to take the money from?
Yeah.
Right? There's people here that are just immigrated not too long ago and wasn't even involved. None of their ancestors were part of slavers, right? But are we going to categorize all white people into that category and make them pay, right? Just because they are white. And now today we have, I guess, white supremacy still around, right?
Systematic racism.
Right, systematic, yeah. Who are like, there's black people who weren't here during slavery as well. Now I think it's very like difficult and like tedious. Like, how would you do all that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. You would have to like ancestry dot
you probably have to
com,
right?
Probably
have to prove like, with the genealogy test.
Yes, that's correct.
It's called.
And then it's kind of crazy. It's like, well, if we look back, there's a lot of people now. The Democratic Party has been proven to be the ones who mostly supported slavery, right? So it's like a lot of people from the Democratic Party are pushing this, but are they going to be the ones to want to pay for that since they're part of the Democratic Party and they were the ones who backed slavery? Or
I'm sure nobody wants their wealth messed with too much.
No.
I don't think
but so.
Have you ever heard that thing that's like Hispanics are like the new slaves, like, because they're always doing yard work and they're always maids and they're always, it's like when you see like someone, cleaning up a yard or something, it's always Mexicans or like, like construction work, all that stuff.
Right.
Like
a lot of Mexicans. Now there are certain people that say like, that we are America's racist for doing that and that people don't want to work or get those jobs to work. Now, if you put a person who really loves his family, no matter what race they are, and they want to support and feed their family, they're going to pick whatever job they can, really.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. It's not something that is exclusive to Hispanics. But you do see them taking those jobs a lot.
Yeah.
But you also see Hispanics being very entrepreneurial as well. I mean, here in LA, if you're in the Midwest or something, you probably don't see this, but here in LA particularly, and I'm pretty sure some other places, you see a lot of like little shops that are put up on the side of the street because Mexicans are always selling either flowers or they're doing selling food or just so many other things that it's kind of like really interesting. Like just
I
little,
love that.
like shops everywhere.
No, I love
so
that.
they're very entrepreneurial. One thing about, actually I won't get too deep into this, but yeah, it's just they do a lot of different jobs. So yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I just think it's fascinating. The race issue is interesting. So I'm gonna tell you a story, all right?
Okay.
So just cozy up over there. So I'm working at a church right now. and I'm just the office administrator. So I just do a lot of like, scheduling. It's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
Restocking. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to bore you to sleep if I talk about my job right now. So I'm not going to do that. But anyway, so a homeless woman was, I could see her outside the office window, and it looked like she was going to the bathroom on the campus, like on the church campus. So I like alerted someone, and I was just like, there's like a lady out here,
Yeah.
Well, he goes and approaches that lady, and she ends up like screaming at him for like 25 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting at my desk like hearing this.
Did you call the cops or something?
I called the pastor because the pastor wasn't there yet.
Okay.
And then I called the other pastor because that pastor didn't answer. And then anyway, and then he said call the sheriff if it keeps going.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, but I put it down, and then the other pastor ended up showing up, so he handled the situation, which is another interesting thing. But basically, like what this woman was screaming at the other pastor was like, okay, so the homeless woman is black, the pastor guy was white. She screamed at him for like 25 minutes on stuff like, I'm oppressed by you, like you're the problem, and I'm a minority, and I'm a woman, and I don't have a place to go. This church has never helped me. Like she just went in. And then she was also saying some other stuff that didn't make sense. She's been there a few times. I don't know her as well as maybe some of these other guys do, but the only reason I alerted it because I thought she was going to the bathroom on the property, and like I just think that's really gross when people do that. You know, like I'm like, dude, come on. All right. Anyway, I know you're desperate, but I don't think that's okay. I used to DoorDash, so I've seen a lot of that. Okay, I'm a little traumatized from the amount of homeless people going to the street in the bathroom.
Talking about the whole entire thing about oppressing people's, there's a very interesting like victim mentality. Now, even if that was true, why do you want to stay in that mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like you could be mad about all your life being oppressed or victimized and being just oppressed by everything and saying, well, this didn't go well for me and this didn't go well for me, instead of kind of just like taking a step back and being like, yeah, that happened to me, but I'm going to make an effort to change this, right?
Well, that's the thing. Okay, one thing that this lady said.
What did she say?
She was like, I'm pure, I'm celibate, I've never done anything with anybody, and a church refuses me, like, and I'm this holy I don't know why she was saying this stuff, but in my head, I was just like, when I heard her scream that at that one of the pastors, I thought to myself, wow, so okay, you say that you've lived the perfect lifestyle, so you've never had children, so I was just like, so your life it could be worse. Like, I have two children. I was a teen mom. I mean, right now I'm dealing with my own housing crisis. I'm staying at my mother-in-law's house. It's not ideal. So, I mean, I'm in a tough situation, but I imagine like if I didn't have children, it would be a lot easier because I would just have to take care of myself, and I would my standards for living would be lower. So that's what I was thinking about this lady. I mean, I don't know if she has kids or not, but like, just from what she was saying, it was just like, wait, so you don't have children. Your situation could be way worse, but you're sitting there complaining. Now, again, I don't think it's healthy to compare my situation with her situation because I've always had to like work. I've had to work so hard my whole life just to get by, and I'm fine with it. I love my life. You know, I think it's worth it. For me, it's worth it. But it was just interesting hearing someone with like seemed like less excuses. Like, wait, you don't have dependents, you don't have, you're not having you don't have these mouths to feed, but you're still like a huge victim to the system. Meanwhile, like, I'm a 23-year-old, I'm Hispanic, I've been discriminated against by like welfare systems and medical, I not explicitly, but I've had comments made about me. And
what's one movie that I actually like
I don't know,
watching
going off on
is
a bunny
this
trail.
guy. So there's this guy who struggles with homelessness, right? And it's based off of I believe is it based off of a true story? I'm not quite sure, but it's a really good story. Just anyways, it's The Pursuit of Happiness. Have you watched that one?
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about.
That's when somebody who
that's like actually struggling
doesn't let his systems or his situation like just overtake him. And he still goes forward and just makes like a living.
See, it's
right?
hard. It's hard to really get behind big narratives like systematic racism when you have people in Hollywood like Will Smith, you know. I mean, like you have like someone like that who made the movie Pursuit of Happiness. That is a successful black man. That guy has been famous ever since I was a kid. So like to look at someone like that, and especially as a child, and then to be told that all black people are oppressed. I mean, that's my brain. I'm just like, what about like Will Smith, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, Kanye West, Drake? These are all black people who are extremely successful. Or even
the story itself is just amazing.
Well, the story itself is, I think that we should all,
story, so, yeah.
But anyway, that's just a side note, and that's how I felt when this lady was yelling at Rick. Now, I mean, whoops, I shouldn't have said his name. Yelling at this guy, But it was funny too because it was like the stuff that she was accusing him of was also it was like also stereotyping him for being a white man. So you see how if you follow
there's a lot of contradictory stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, because it was like, wait, you don't know this guy, you don't know what this guy's story is. I mean, yeah, he's white and he has a job, but like what? Like you're gonna assume all this baggage about him because he's white? That sounds like racism to me. I mean, but I don't know. We are always changing the definition of everything.
Yeah, that's true.
But point is, I've had to work hard. I'm still happy. And if that's a message out there that somebody needs to hear, like, oh man, like, let's say you're facing, you know, wanting to get an abortion or something because you think it's going to be super hard. You know what? It is going to be super hard. You're right. That's life. But you can still be happy and you can still be fulfilled with your child and with your actions and still love life and choose God. And that's obviously what I wish that someone like this homeless woman who came into the office today, I wish that it's like, come on, instead of spending 25 minutes of your time and energy screaming at someone, why don't you just accept help? Stop biting people's hands who try and feed you. Yeah. And just just let go of those stereotypes in your head. Let go of the victimhood. Like, just let it go. You know? Yeah, so it's like I'm struggling too, dude. I'm not yelling at people. Like, right. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Okay, but yeah, there's actually something that I found on. I've been seeing so many memes about this now. Okay, I don't know if you've seen this headline go around lately around social media. Okay, so there's this woman. I don't know. Okay, let's start off with this. You know Stanley Cups, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a new drop at like Target, right? And did you see those videos where everybody like all these women were lining up like as if it was some like Black Friday thing, and like they gotta get the Stanley Cup, and then like it was like limited to two only, and like there was actually like you had to go. Some like different Targets had like an employee there standing there. And
what was so special about the Stanley Cup?
I don't know what's wrong with this or why everybody loves the Stanley Cup so much, but somebody fill me in, please.
Somebody fill me in, please.
But like I've been seeing this go around so often, right? Or so much. It's like crazy. But now I saw this headline yesterday, okay? Yeah. This woman from California, she's 23 years old. She walks out, I believe out of a Target, I'm not quite sure, but she walks out and steals $2,500 worth of Stanley Cups, which is around 65 cups or 65 products, they said. She just walked out and she was arrested for it. She didn't want to pay for it. She just stuffed them in her cart and she was like, I'm out of here.
Did her cart lock?
No,
but she didn't get away with it, so she obviously was bad at it.
Put them in the trunk of her car, and then she just drives off. But they eventually arrested her, obviously, because it's very funny. You see the videos, and it's kind of like they got them all set up like a drug. I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but like she just
breaking
walks out.
Stanley Cups.
Yep.
Not like Breaking Bad. That didn't work.
No, but it's just like kind of funny. Like, why would somebody do that? And just like kind of. Like it's just like she's gonna be selling them on the black market or something.
And speaking of the mental illness crisis in America, no, I'm just kidding.
But it just what compels a 23-year-old woman to go out and just...
Oh, that's right. She was 23.
She's 23.
I'm 23.
Yeah, she's the same age as you. Are you going to go steal some Stanley Cups? Like,
nope.
Even if it was something you really, really wanted.
Nope. That's not worth it. Yeah. Wait, let me guess. It keeps your coffee hot for hours.
I don't know.
It's just the best.
Like, okay.
Nothing better than 65 of those.
No.
Maybe she's trying to sell them.
I'm thinking that's what she was probably wanting to do.
Reason.
But it's like 65 of them. How are you going to walk out with all that many?
She did. So whoever, maybe she knew the staff that day.
Timmy, I want to know your thoughts on this. What happened?
Crazy.
Yeah. But what is your reaction? Like, are you mind blown?
I guess.
I guess.
Mind kind of blown.
Mind kind of blown, yeah. He's like, no, I expect it of people these days.
I'm not surprised.
No, and kind of continuing on the, like, California sort of local news, since this was a Californian.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Classic.
So I just
Valley
saw this.
girl. I just wanted hot coffee.
And then I saw this headline. Okay, so LA Times editor. Okay, so he wants people, ex-Californians, to stop insulting California. Now I'm kind of getting behind this right here. I am getting behind this. So he says, if you want to leave, fine, but don't insult California on the way out. This is a very good, like, okay, for people that are, I'm pretty sure the ones who insulted California, sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably disagree with him. But I kind of am agreeing with him a little bit.
I agree with him.
I kind of leaning towards agreeing with him. Now, here's why. So, like, we see everybody leaving, and they kind of just trash California, and there's still people living here, okay?
Yeah.
And they kind of, like, disregard that. They're like, okay, well, everybody here is trash. I'm just going to leave. But it's like, there's still here people that want to fix California that are still hoping for the best of it. And you're kind of just like insulting everybody. But also there's people here who cannot afford to move out of California at all.
Yeah.
And what I think about people leaving California is very interesting. So everybody starts saying how disgusting the city is, how they don't like the noise,
how we're never going to change,
how people are rude, how things in that, like the cities are disgusting in the streets, which you have points to that, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that once you leave California and leave other people here who can't afford to leave and who are stuck here, you're kind of like,
I think it's selfish.
Like, it is. That's actually one of the first things that come to mind is selfishness, right?
Yeah.
You're not staying here and you're not willing to fight. You're leaving.
Fearful.
You're making each person who is leaving is making it much more harder for the people who are staying here.
And how I see it is it's like, okay, to all the people who are fleeing to Texas, Tennessee, all these places, to me it's just like, okay, well, like, you're taking the easy way out because you don't need to make a difference there.
They don't want.
We need to make a difference here in California.
They want to get the comfortable life that.
They're
so
afraid.
They don't have to worry about having to deal with this and that. But for me, I kind of feel like I'm here and I'm gonna want to stay here because of the fact that it's something worth fighting for, right?
Yeah.
There's other people here. There's children who are still going to be raised here whether you like it or not. And I don't want to leave. I don't want it to get worse for other kids that are going to be raised here. And it's like, I can't, like, on my conscience just leave.
Yeah.
And then just be like, oh, well, California, you figure it out.
No, yeah, I'm going to face Gavin Newsom head on.
Like,
I'm not going to walk away. No, and seriously. Right. First of all, I want to name some positives about California. The beaches are beautiful, okay?
The weather's great.
The weather's amazing. I never get as sick as I did in Colorado. And there are a lot of amazing people here. There's so much opportunity. There's so many jobs.
What people don't understand is that, like, they always say California is like everybody's rude, which is certain places, sure, but there's a lot of great people here in California. Yeah. I don't think they understand. Like, once you, like, explore California, it's not just LA, not just San Francisco. There's so much to California that's beautiful. I mean, there's, like, so many. You can go to the mountains, the desert, and, like, the beach and all in one day, which is insane
and the snow.
Me. Like, how can you do that?
Yeah.
Like, you could do that and, like, be still in California.
No, it's amazing, yeah.
You're in other states and it's, like, just one, like, thing.
For me, this state is worth fighting for. This state is absolutely worth fighting for.
I would definitely say so.
And I'm not scared of I'm not scared of it, you know?
Right.
Because I know it's just like, a lot of it is just broken people or mental illness.
And who is going to stay here and fight for those people? And who is going to bring those people to
God.
God, right?
God.
Who's going to do that
I
if
mean,
we're all going to
yeah.
leave and just abandon everybody? I mean, we're here as Christians not to be, we're not here called to be just have the easy way out and just like keep it all to ourselves.
That's not what Jesus said.
Go straight into the fire
Yes.
and actually fight.
Amen to that, yeah.
So it's like crazy to me that people just leave and just be like, well, I'm just out. Peace out. Figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Exactly. It's always bothered me when people make a big show out of leaving Los Angeles. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still here. Like, I'm still fighting. And I get crazy opportunities because I'm in Los Angeles, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that Los Angeles just California just provides a lot of different opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's really sad when I see people just
I
start
know when they
bashing
start.
it. You know what's very interesting is that Reagan, President Reagan, he loved California. So
Good.
like I mean
I like it.
that's one of his like favorite places. He just loved California so much, and he was.
California's amazing.
Wasn't even raised in California, so
yeah,
it's crazy to see that he loved it so much, and he saw like how like just it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a governor of California too.
Yeah, you know, I think the real problem that people are dealing with is just that California is the most populated city in this whole country.
Yeah,
it's bigger
so
than New York. With
the thing
include Orange
how
County.
it works is that Los Angeles has a pretty big like roll over all of California.
Yeah.
But if you start going towards some more rural parts of California, you're going to see a lot of conservatives. Like I've seen the signs. I've seen it out there. Okay. When I travel, I see people love like a lot of like conservative people or just have conservative mindsets.
Yeah.
But then you look at Los Angeles, it's just very heavily populated. And
Exactly.
It pulls a lot.
And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of conservatives in Los Angeles, but we're just so populated that it seems like there's more leftist, liberal, woke people. But a big part of that is just because I think it is that a lot of those movements are just louder. They're just louder, so it seems like there's more.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at it, it's not as swayed left as it seems because people are loud. And then a lot of Los Angeles's problems just comes from having more people. Like I lived in a tiny little town. It's not that tiny actually, but it's called Colorado Springs, and it's south of Denver. And I lived there for a long time. Very nice. It was actually very conservative. And I mean, it had problems though. They dealt with homelessness. They dealt with corruption in the pharmaceutical companies, medical, practitioner, like just, they dealt with that too. But if you add more people into a city, you're going to get more problems because you're adding more people and people come with problems.
Now, let me tell you something. Why you should be concerned about California, even though you're not in California. Okay. Reason is that whatever happens in California is going to spread. Okay.
Yeah,
so if you don't understand and stay here and fight, you're going to leave you're going to leave California and let it waste, right? But then you're also going to let it infect the entire rest of the country, right? Because a lot of things that they experiment here in California are going to spread to other states and see if they can have them there. Like a lot of the laws that they experiment with us here, seeing if they can pass them, and then seeing what they can fool around with is going to go on to other states who are going to want to copy California. So it's like if you don't stop it here, it's going to like infect the rest of the country. So that's my point with that.
It is California is like always ahead of the waves. I used to like go to I used to travel a lot when I was a teenager, and it was like the music and the movies that like most like suburban kids were watching because I'd go to my cousin's house and they lived in the suburbs. But it was always like stuff that I had known about for like a few months already, but it just became trendy like a few weeks out because Los Angeles has it has culture waves that like go out into the rest of the country.
Now, I actually want to know, so since you kind of spoke on this a little bit earlier, but I'm pretty sure, like, why would you want to stay in California? I mean, we kind of touched on that, but like, what allure kind of like brought you to California?
What brought me to
wouldn't you want to just leave, right?
Well, what brought me to California was my mom got a job here, and and then my dad is in the film business, so that's what brought me to California. But
but do you like it better than like Colorado Springs?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes.
Okay.
So the weather is a big part of that. I
Yeah.
really love that it never snows. And then if you want snow, if you miss snow, you can just
like
drive
you
up
can
there.
literally drive like an
You can
hour.
just drive like an hour, yeah.
Like
just
you'll
go
see
get the
snow like an hour and a half.
And I love the rain. I love it when it like we're in rainy season right now.
Yeah.
I love it so much because the palm trees, they just look so beautiful. And I'm a painter
They
and
do.
I love painting palm trees.
You know what? I see some beautiful like skies.
Yeah.
Like it's just so
gorgeous.
pretty.
It's
Yesterday was so pretty.
It bothers me so bad when I'm like, look at that beautiful sunset, and someone next to me is like, yeah, that's the pollution. I'm like,
okay. Thanks.
Thanks for ruining my moment.
This was really nice. Now you just like ruined it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, I'm allowed to appreciate. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing after just like my well-being is and my kids' well-being because it's my family, you know. And anyway, is probably the opportunities here, the jobs here. I've gotten very good jobs here. I've worked on feature films. I've worked on web series. I've worked on TV shows. Like I've interned for like The Chosen and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't get these in other states.
So would you say like California is a place that it's feasible to raise a family?
I think so. If you have family here, it makes it a lot more doable. I know that not everybody has that, so you have to outsource, but I have been very blessed to have not only my side of the family here, but also my husband's side of the family here. So like when you're more rooted here, and that root or those roots are, I think, what makes it more stable to have children, because you have more eyes on the children, you have more people who care about the like who actually care about the children, and like, and you have more resources and stuff, and it makes it a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
But I have friends who do not have a lot of family or not a lot of support, and they've rooted themselves in like moms groups or homeschool organizations or church groups. So there are other options for people, but I think that's the biggest thing to base it off of is don't try and do it yourself out here, because this is not like the slow moving lane where you got the picket fence and the dog and you don't have to like you have to watch your kid 24/7, okay? Like, or have someone you know and trust watch them, you know?
Now, actually, just a little point to that, but you're talking about homeschool groups. Now, what people don't know is that California is actually very open and very good for raising a homeschooler. Actually,
look at Billie
rather
Eilish.
than homeschooling somebody in like Tennessee, it's better to homeschool somebody here in California, which is very surprising. Like the laws that actually work around this, it's much more easier to raise people here in California and homeschool them than it is in like some other states, which is very interesting. Maybe I think it might be because of like all the actors that are here, and a lot of them have to homeschool. That's one of my just theories.
That makes sense.
But no, being a homeschooler, I know that it's a lot more easier because you can just file an affidavit, right? And it
That's what I did.
Yeah, you can just
Super
do
easy.
that, and then like the government can't really touch you. Like
it's
so
definitely
but other states, more conservative states, actually have you require you to do this and do that, submit this and that.
Probably don't like unschooling.
Here in California, you don't have to do that. So that's pretty interesting. That's one of the plus sides I would have to say about California.
And I've been in different homeschool groups here, and I gotta say, like, the passion of the parents, it speaks volumes. Like that in itself is worth fighting for, you know. And I'm talking about like really intelligent moms. Taking their kids, making sure their kids have activities, a social life, you know, education and everything. And just so much passion and community. And I think, again, the opportunity that comes with Los Angeles for me is worth the less great things, in my opinion.
People are probably like, we just heard two Californians just rant about California. Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did. I don't think you see this opinion or side very often.
Yeah.
You know, it's very like not a
there's
very
always like a
big
back
majority. But,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
Like,
there's
I like California, but it sucks. Like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, thanks. But like, there's actually one person who I heard his takes on this which is Anthony Cabasa, which is a pretty cool guy. If you need to go check him out because his reporting is pretty cool. But I saw like he made this statements, and I screenshotted like every single one of them because I was like, yes, this is why I love California. Why it's so good to stay here, and we were kind of going over that earlier.
Yeah.
Making roughly around the same points. Like it's pretty important. But I kind of want to jump over to, let's see.
We have about 5 minutes before it's 8. Oh, 4 minutes.
Before 1.
8.
8?
10 minutes, sorry.
10. Okay.
10,
10 minutes? Is it before we end? Okay. Well, whatever. That's cool. Well,
there is a housing crisis, though. I'm experiencing it right now.
No, well, you know what's very interesting is that it's happening all over the country where big corporations are buying up land and like houses.
It's crazy, yeah.
Chinese ones.
Yeah, my aunt actually, she lives in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Her house is also $1 million. Went up to $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin's house went up to $1 million. It's I found out it's a nationwide problem right now. That this and then I said to her just outright, then Gen Z won't be property owners because who can afford a $1 million condo with two bedrooms?
Did you see that
bedrooms?
video?
It's like crazy.
I forgot which people did it. If you look up on YouTube, it was like put on maybe during COVID, I think is when I remember seeing it, where it's a video that says by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. Did you see that?
Oh, that's socialism.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting video. I definitely recommend. You will be happy because I said so. Actually, talking about being happy. Have you read this book, guys? Like Fahrenheit. This one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I read that.
You read this one. Okay, guys. This is
I think
pretty
it's
cool.
required in a lot of schools.
Yeah, I think so. But it's a pretty awesome book, which is amazing. A lot of people like.
What's your favorite part about it?
Ooh, well, I'm only like halfway through. I'm like page 100. Exactly. But it's so interesting because, I mean, it starts off with, I'm reading this, the introduction says it's like a warning, right? Now, I think a lot of people don't understand, like, it's really like, it's an actual warning.
It's
like,
funny, though, because okay, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The book banning thing, I've seen both sides of it, because it's like, I've seen people ban books like Gone with the Wind because it's racist. And then I've seen people ban those like trans books because they're inappropriate.
It's a very interesting, tricky topic, I think.
Yeah, book banning is happening on both sides, and it's opposed by both sides. It's so weird.
It is that's true. It is opposed by like both sides, but then they're both for it at the same time. It's like very interesting.
What is that?
I think that there are certain books that are just like really big, like they're just trash. Like, why would you do that? But then like you also have some of the books on there that are just like, why would you ban that, right?
Yeah.
But then I think both sides try to be the ones to champion being the right ones when it comes to book banning. And it's so interesting because it talks about how colored people didn't like one book, so they burned it, and then white people didn't like one certain book, so they burned it. So, and then there's one thing about porches not being a thing because somebody didn't like it and hurt feelings, and then it's like, it's so interesting, like being happy. It kind of reminds me of what we were talking about, owning nothing and then being happy.
Yeah.
But it's people telling you that you're going to be happy because they make certain decisions for you.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting thing, I think. But yeah, it's super cool. It's great. I think we do have a few more minutes, right? Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Timmy? 5? Okay. Timothy, do you have anything interesting to update us since the last time you were here on 180? Come close.
Maybe.
Okay, what have you been doing? School?
School, yes.
Yeah, what are you learning about?
Well, can I talk about today?
Yeah.
So I learned about the safety pin.
Okay.
In my history.
Mm-hmm.
And
what about the safety pin? Where'd it come from?
Trying to get it from the top of my mind.
From the top of his mind.
The tip of my tongue, top of my mind.
Ellie, should you run?
What? I don't know what that meant.
Run exercise? Or
run for like
office?
Yeah.
Office, man. Okay, that's
okay. Which office? You got school board. You got
so many things.
Congress.
Okay. What he was talking about too, by the way, is he's learning about inventors. That's like what his school is. He's doing right now is learning about different inventions and like where they came
entrepreneurial.
from. Yeah, so that's cool. No, but running. He just threw the question like He's becoming the interviewer instead. Okay. So running for something. That is a pretty interesting question. I don't know.
Never?
Like, maybe? Okay, I've had my mind flip-flop on this, right? Because I feel like, okay, if nobody's gonna run, who's gonna do it, right? But then I'm just like, okay, but then I'm not the most, like, I don't feel like the most qualified person out there to actually run.
I get that. Also, politics.
And then I've also
very...
heard some people say, well, you have to have a good team around you. I mean, obviously you can't be the expert about everything, but you bring different people who are experts on things.
Oh,
and that's how businesses are also run too, because you're not the expert on everything, but you hire somebody who's the expert in that field. Yeah. But I just feel like, I don't know if I'm do I have it?
I feel like a lot of people decide to run like unexpectedly, like later in life, and I mean, maybe that's not everyone, but I that's what I've noticed.
Although the best people that I've seen run is people who didn't even like dream about, like, they didn't start off wanting to run. They said, well, I was put in this position, so now I'm running.
Yeah.
And those are probably one of the best people that I've seen, like, want to, get into office and then do great changes. Yeah. Because they are there because they didn't want to. They saw that there was something that needed to be changed, happened, and they're going to deliver on it.
And another thing is they didn't want to, so it was uncomfortable. So, like, in order for them to keep going, they're literally bearing the discomfort for the cause.
Right.
So there's more honesty
at least they're, I mean, like, I feel like they're less prone to, like, probably corruption. They could be. I think that everybody, that could happen. But I feel like because they're not in it for the money,
yeah, exactly.
They're, they're probably going to do the best thing.
My cousin was telling me something really interesting about how, okay, so she's an engineer. She works in mines a lot, and a mine can give her up to, like, I can't even remember how much. It was like, let's just say they can give her like 25 something. Like, I can't remember. It was like a specific, she had a limit on the benefits that she could get from the mine. But she was telling me that a congressperson could get, like, there is no limit. Like, so if there was a mine that was doing something that wasn't good, right, they can pay off the congressperson to vote for them anyway. But she was saying for her job, she's an engineer, that there is a limit so that there's no corruption, so that no engineering takes place to worsen the climate, worsen the environment to benefit the mine. She's not allowed to take a bribe. But a congressperson could be bribed. There's no law that stops a congressperson from being bribed to pass certain things to protect the mine.
I see.
So she was saying, like, in her job, she works in, I don't know if she works for the federal government or something, but she's an engineer. And she, so, like, her job also, they have to be careful about corruption. So there's legal limitations on her job. But for a congressperson, there are no legal limitations for, like, a mine or, let's say, a factory or something like that. Like, the factory can pay them off to vote their benefits. And then I said, well, who came up with that? And she was like, Congress did. Congress voted on it. And I was like, oh, my gosh. So it's like you need checks and balances always. Right. And you need the person who nobody likes who comes in the room and calls out the system, or calls out the imbalances, or calls out the obvious hypocrisy or injustice. You need those people, but people hate those people because they're not pretty politicians.
Right, and I don't think that they're probably not the most well-polished people either, but it's like, do you want, like,
2 minutes?
2 minutes. Okay, well, yeah, that's a good point, though.
We should talk about that more, though. I want to get my cousin on here.
That would be great.
I think she's afraid that I'm going to, like, I don't know, whatever people do. Something bad. Something like, gotcha.
No.
Gotcha. Or, like, embarrass her. No, that's not the point here. So, please, if we've given off that impression, just know that we're always learning, okay?
Right. And I feel like, I think that my mind is definitely open on a lot of different issues. And it's pretty cool to have other people on here that are just different.
Different perspective. You need perspectives. You need perspectives.
The beauty of it is, like, each person is, like, has a different perspective because of how they were raised, and finding that out and why they were raised in what situation that led them to believe those certain things is pretty cool to find out. It's like really fun. But I always say that, like, all the time, but it's like it really is pretty cool. But we would love to have you on if you ever felt like it's some urge to come, and I don't know why, but you know what?
No,
some people like to do that, just to come jump on.
I love that,
and I would love to have you on, and definitely reach out to our website. We have contacts there through 180shift.org. And you can just find out more of our stuff, more of the issues we got there. And then if you haven't already, please go to our Instagram at 180.shift. Our X username and Twitter is 180shift, so just without the dot. It's pretty just simple. You just search up 180 shift and you probably should get it on all platforms. And then Facebook at Tara, letter N, Ellie, and yeah, so that's all of our social medias. Timothy, any last words?
Subscribe and follow.
Yeah.
There you go. You have it. And guess what? We're almost to 10,000 on Instagram. So this is very good. 10,000 almost coming up on Instagram.
Coming up.
Yeah.
10,000.
I forgot how many we had on TikTok, but we're doing pretty good. And your video is still doing great.
Oh,
so.
I know. I've been trying to redo it. It's not working.
Well, that's cool. But yeah, we'd love to have you on if you could. Don't even have to agree with us, but
yes,
yep,
absolutely.
totally cool.